horse town. It's not Green Bay. It's not Buffalo. There's no guarantees here. And so with you got the Big Ten coming to town, the Rams and McVay and Stafford. Dodgers now have an all-star team. You got 4 stars with the Clippers. You get lost really quick in this town. One more stumble, one more coordinator hired, going cheap. You may not recover from that. This is the only hire to make, and I hope they do. Speaking of hires, it's official. Doc Rivers is the new coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen, they hired Adrian Griffin. He was a first-time head coach with a championship or bust team with 2 stars. Didn't work. But think about this for a second. Maybe I'm wrong. But this does feel, what's happening in Milwaukee, a little bit like LeBron and David Blatt. They were the number 1 seed, 30-11, and LeBron didn't like the coach. And the Bucks are the number 2 seed, 30-13, won 5 of 6, and Giannis doesn't like the coach. And LeBron gave the okay initially to Blatt, and Giannis gave the okay initially to Griffin. But eventually the superstars aren't happy. But just think about this. Giannis comes in, and I'm not blaming him. He was a sweet, naive kid. I mean, you'd see pictures of him at McDonald's and local restaurants, and he signed every autograph. And then, of course, he has now been infused, not his fault, it's a reality, with the American idea of success, which is nobody's ever satisfied. Lamar Jackson wins an MVP. Hey, where are the playoff wins? Chiefs 11-6 off a Super Bowl win. What a disappointing season. 4 titles for LeBron, 10 trips to the finals. Hey, he's no Jordan. That's what we do to our young stars. And it's not going backwards. It's getting worse. So between Aaron in Green Bay and Giannis with the Milwaukee Bucks, it feels like, biggest star in town, cold Midwestern, kind of irrelevant city. I used to call it the Green Bay quarterback system, the Green Bay quarterback syndrome. And now it feels like the Wisconsin superstar syndrome. First, you feel lucky to be there, then a title and a few MVPs, and you're lucky to have me. But it does feel like Giannis feels a little like LeBron. Shaq, for the record, was too big for Orlando. You know he was. This happens. Too big for Orlando. KD felt too big for OKC. LeBron felt too big for Cleveland. Giannis now has MVPs, star of the league, pressure, expectations. He's getting annoyed very quickly. Anybody else notice this? I mean, they're doing everything now like they did with LeBron. They put Giannis's brother on the roster. They get him Dame or else. They hire the coach he wants, then fire the coach he wants. And again, it's a Midwestern, cold, overlooked town, Cleveland, Milwaukee, kind of Rust Belt feeling, although Milwaukee's a little hipper. And it feels like the superstar. Remember what Kareem did? And it was a different league back then. Stars didn't get everything they wanted. Kareem basically said quietly to the organization, get me to New York, L.A., or D.C. Look it up. He said it quietly. I don't want to burn the organization, but I want out. I'm bored. There's not enough here. I'm not challenged. And they did everything they could. And they pulled off a pretty good trade considering they lost the great player in the game. But this feels like, to me, very LeBron in Cleveland. They're doing everything. It's Midwest. They're trying. And then you come to the realization that just Shaq was too big for Orlando. And LeBron was too big for Cleveland. And KD was too big for OKC. You got to build it a different way. And by the way, you got a title with him. And you've had great years with him. But this is his coach. You're a number 2 seed. You're on a hot streak. I want him out. And they cave in 1 hour. I mean, they just cave. And they caved on his brother. And they cave on Dame. And that's what you got to do. To me, it just feels very LeBron in Cleveland. Midwestern city, have a superstar, caving to his demands. And it just feels like Giannis is getting more annoyed more often. Doesn't it? Kind of. I don't think that's a reach. Like, you're You're a number 2 seed. You're 30-13. You've won 5 of 6. You're annoyed? He was your guy. Now you don't want him. And by the way, the first time LeBron left, he didn't get a title. At least you got a ring. You got a trophy with Giannis. But, from naive kid infused with the American idea of success, nobody's satisfied. And I don't view Giannis as a wanderer or disloyal. But let's be honest about this in the last 2 years. He's changed. He swears more. He's a little harsher. He's less patient. And I love him as a player. I think he's a great guy, great face. But he is getting annoyed on stuff. 30-13, 5 of 6, number 2 seed. That's when you knew LeBron in Cleveland was not going to last forever. LeBron came into the league. Hometown kid, going to stay there forever. We're getting very close. We almost win. Nobody's ever satisfied. And then LeBron went and played with some Olympians and went, yeah, this isn't big enough. And it's starting to feel like that. I was in Florida when Shaq left Orlando. He said all the right things. He loved it. He was on a beautiful lake, beautiful home, star of the city, but struggled to go to the grocery store, in kind of a 1 or 2 sports town. And in the end, they went to Los Angeles. And we got a flirtation last year, did we not, with Steph Curry? And remember, he used to deny those things. He would just close the door on those things, and now he doesn't. This feels very, very much like LeBron in Cleveland. Irritated over things that 3 years ago you would have been so happy about. I said this morning to somebody at the meeting. It's like a marriage, like you're arguing over stuff that you used to laugh about. You used to laugh at the flaws when you go out with somebody and she does this and he does that. And then after a while, you don't laugh about them. And then you start picking on people about stuff and flaws that are endemic to a person's personality. And you're starting fights. I don't think I'm reaching. Doesn't it feel a little like this?
Yeah. And some of the reports that are coming out about how, Nick Nurse was on the market when the Bucks were looking for a coach. And Giannis said,
nah, I don't want
Mark
that.
Stein, who you work with.
Yeah.
He's like, Giannis didn't want Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse doing okay in Philadelphia now, isn't he?
Right.
Giannis said, I'll take this Griffin guy.
And then he wants him out. And apparently he would draw up plays, and Giannis is like, no, I'll draw up my own. We'll run other plays.
Yeah, there was a moment where Giannis, he was checked out of the game by the coach. Giannis just sat at the table, was like, I'm going right back in. Just kind of big time in him. Not a great look for Giannis.
It's not necessarily it's easy for me to blame LeBron in Cleveland, but they couldn't get him a second star the first time around, and it's Cleveland. He tried to get Chris Bosh there. He tried to get people there. He went back because Kyrie Irving was there, right? And so he's like, okay, I got Kyrie Irving, and then he got Kevin Love. Yeah. He tried to make it work, and they did get him Dame. But in the end, Chris Middleton has regressed because of some injuries, and they can't get the coach right.
And the defense is abysmal, but we knew that was going to happen when you lose Holiday.
Well, it's not. You got to remember, this is a winter league. What is the one team on the eastern side of the country that is crushed with free agency historically in this league? Miami. It's the warmest winter league city. And New York has struggled. Philadelphia, sometimes Boston. It's a winter league. And so it's not a shock that Miami does well in free agency. And through the years, Los Angeles does well. And now Phoenix will make players are willing to go to Phoenix. So I feel like just some of this is Giannis is just like, okay, I'm in this city. It's small. I'm getting irritated. It's not going. I'm getting a lot of pressure. I don't want to be a one-time champion. It's hard to get people that want to come here. We lose Drew Holiday. It just feels like it's getting annoying for him.
Do you get the vibe he's going to be like a Curry and stay in Milwaukee for the long haul?
No, I don't.
That's fun.
Yeah, and I'm not criticizing Giannis or Milwaukee for that. I think it's well-owned. It has been, I think, mostly well-run. But I think he looks at those Budenholzer years and thinks, we probably should have had another. And then you start in the social media world reading about other people. And now Giannis gets up and Jokic is the better player and Embiid is winning the hardware. And by next year, Wemby's a star. Giannis is feeling like I'm falling down the ladder. I mean, let's be honest. We don't talk Giannis. Now it's Embiid, Jokic, Wemby.
No, don't forget your boy Jason Tatum, obviously. Jason.
But Giannis has fallen down.
No, certainly.
He's fallen
He's still
down.
a great player, top 5 guy in the
question.
league.
But it was 4 years ago, he was it. Now Jokic, Embiid, Wemby by next year. Even Chet Holmgren, like guys are like, oh, this guy's a 25-point guy in a year. So all of a sudden, Giannis now is not as relevant. And for these young stars, that's a big part of it, being relevant for advertisers in the championship circle. And Boston goes out and gets Drew and Porzingis. And now he looks up at them and thinks, oh, and now Philadelphia's got the great coach. So you can tell in his world, he's looking around thinking, I'm falling further and further behind. That's why I think he signed off on Doc Rivers, a championship coach, a relevant guy.
Okay, we'll see how that works out.
It's all fascinating.
Fun stuff.
I think it is.